Good morning, and it is 6:20 a.m. It is a beautiful morning. If you are seeing this in the morning, you need to get outside. It is 70 degrees outside. It is beautiful for Texas in June. But we are continuing the Walking in Sunlight live series based on the hymn, Heavenly Sunlight. The text, that first stanza, walking in sunlight all of my journey over the mountains and through the deep vale, which I took yesterday to mean deep valleys. And so we talked about the mountains the day before, then the valleys yesterday of life. But today, Jesus has said, I'll never forsake thee. Let's talk about that for a minute. I have about 3 verses that we're going to look at as I'm trying not to get run over while doing this too. The first one, Matthew 28, verse 28. The last verse in the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus there giving his final commission, the Great Commission, to his apostles who were going to go out into the world, who were going to spread the teachings that they had learned from Jesus. There in Matthew 28, those last couple of verses, talks about going to all the world, teaching men, women, children about salvation, teaching them to be baptized in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And then Jesus says, I'm with you always, even to the end of the ages. Those final words, that's the last thing that we read about in the Gospel of Matthew. We're going to see that's a theme because our next verse, well, they actually are connected. Hebrews 13:5 and Deuteronomy 31:6. So Hebrews 13:5 actually quotes Deuteronomy 31:6. So let's start with the Old Testament passage from Deuteronomy first. So what we see there in Deuteronomy 31 is the transition of power from Moses to Joshua. Moses is addressing the Israelites, and you have this transfer of power. Moses has seen them, of course, out of Egypt, through the wilderness, all that time. And it's time for Moses to go and Joshua to take over. But Moses' words to the Israelites, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid. God will go with you every day, and he'll never forsake you. He then turns to Joshua to hand off the leadership of the people and repeats those same words. Then those words from Deuteronomy 31 are quoted in Hebrews 13:5. Hebrews 13:5, the end of the Hebrew letter, you have this quote to the people. You have this quote among other encouragements to remain faithful. And so we see that promise of Jesus never leaving us. That promise of God never forsaking us is tied along with those who are faithful, those who are obedient. But we also recognize God's grace, right? The fact that he was so patient with the Israelites in the wilderness, as we talked about in Deuteronomy 31. The fact that he's patient with you and I today. But we recognize the great hope that we have in the fact that we know that Jesus will never forsake us in this life as we're trying to live faithfully. I hope that brings you some encouragement today. I hope that you use these 14 hours and 16 minutes of daylight to do good. I hope you take an opportunity to look at Matthew 28, Hebrews 13, and Deuteronomy 31, and share the good news with someone today. God bless you.